State of the Nation. Do remember, you can be part of the show by sending me use the hashtag State of the Nation. Air your thoughts on the subject. We begin with the government's discussion to assist states access loans from a 90 billion naira pool. But first, they are mandated to meet those pre-qualification limits. Only 5 states of 36 have so far met the terms. Victor Ohai, an economic analyst and course and management expert, joins me to understand this all too important financial support to the states. Many thanks indeed for coming on State of the Nation. The Finance Ministry is in the last-ditch efforts to try to help the states out of this very dire situation they have found themselves. All 36 states, but 5 of them have been able to meet the bail condition, the loan conditions, I might say. How is this expected to work out, considering the terms that are stated by the government?
I'll have to be honest. These conditions, in the face of the current realities and what's on ground right now, very, very stringent conditions. Good conditions, all right, but I think they're coming a little too late. You recall that in July last year, about a little over 800 billion naira was, that it was given to the states as some sort of, bailout fund. And now, I mean, we're making such a meal of this 90 billion, which is just about, roughly about, barely around 9% of what was originally given out, And now, if you look at, and they squandered this. So, I'm just saying, if you look at...
You in the states, they squandered it?
No, but obviously, because the ICPC indicted a lot of them, because they misused it. These things were not used for what they were meant to be used for, So the states, and I think that informed the present conditions, about 22 or 23 of them.
Do you have a problem with any of the conditions?
Oh, yes. There are quite a few. One of them includes the fact that the states cannot take, they cannot access... they cannot take loans from commercial banks. And I'm saying to myself, 90 billion, naira, for instance, that's almost like what you share. If you look at it, it's like what the federal allocation for like 1 or 2 months. And these states are owing so much. I mean, if you don't take away the loans that they're owing at source, this is some states, if you were to prorate it amongst all the states, they'll barely get just 2-point-something billion each. And this is, a little less than what some states already receive as federal allocation.
But when the states get this this loan, do you suppose they will be able to meet repayment of the loans?
I doubt it, and I'll tell you why. The reason is simple. These conditions are good, but these, to me, are not what should have been the conditions.
What then should they be?
Yes, because first we need to check the profligacy of the state governments, of the governors. There's certain things right now inbuilt into the system that need to be checked. For instance, security votes, and the fact that things like Esther codes, for instance, and a former governor who should know better than you and I, said that sometimes for some trips they take as much as 35 million naira per trip. And a lot of them, they travel every time. So there's no limit, there's no cap to some of these. These are things that we need to check. These excesses, plug these loopholes, so that, if this had been done, things like this had been thought through when the 800 and something billion was given, then there would have been better accountability.
So in other words, you're saying that this,
it's just going to be
this
money.
Policy direction is not sustainable?
I don't think it's sustainable. I mean, first, the figure is, if you look at it, compared to what they owe, it's like nothing. Let's compare this with what Obama did when he took over and there was problem. There is a need to inject massively funding into capital development, in and around the states, because then you can help improve the internally generated revenue of these states. Because when you have capital projects going on, the people, you are reflecting the economy that people are able to make more money, they're able to spend more, they're able to pay taxes and all of that. So it's like a stimulus by itself. And that is even going to help. This is more like handouts. And you give it to them for how long? How many more salaries are going to pay? If it comes and they use it, of course, when it comes in, the states, the labor is waiting. And what they're going to say, the next thing is, okay, pay our outstanding salaries. You pay the salaries, then what next? We need to look at more creative things like how to generate internally generated revenues, and what are the strengths of these states. The federal government needs to help these states.
So how do they begin to look inwards?
Yeah, exactly. They need to help them to begin to look at what, I mean, those areas where they have comparative advantage, stimulate those areas, help them to generate. I mean, I'll give you a small example. There are certain states, for instance, where in the capital, one of the biggest internally generated revenue sources for these states is the main market. Plateau State, for instance, when it got burnt, it affected the state, badly. What I'm saying is, when you have little pockets, it could be industries or little pockets of, areas like that where money can come from for these states, it helps the states.
Now, let's look at this. One of the areas where monies can come from, according to the 22 items to be met by the states before they can access these loans, is the capital market, playing a very crucial role here. It is asked that you are able to get to the capital market to access funds.
Yes. Yeah, as opposed to taking commercial
the question,
loans from,
of course. The question now is that, does the stock market have the confidence enough to allow funds to support the states?
Well, ordinarily, under normal circumstances, you would. But right now, who wants to put money in the states? Are the states viable? That's the question. Would you want to put your money? Fine, it might be argued that this monies can be deducted at source. But I mean, already the states are hemorrhaging. They don't even have any. What's going to be left? Some states recently complained that all they got was just 600 million naira. What are you going to do with that? Who in the capital market wants to put money in the state? Fine, you can do projects. Look, I mean, things like if you have public-private sector projects, but these are medium to long-term projects, But what is happening right now is immediate. These are short-term problems these are immediate problems that require short-term solutions. You might call this a short-term solution, but with these conditions or conditionalities, I don't know how many states can truly meet them.
You have a situation right now in Nigeria where the government is liberalizing the FX regime.
Yes.
How do you forecast the reaction of the markets as to the bailout funds?
Well, first of all, the bailout funds are local. I mean, But what is going to happen is, I see a situation where there will be foreign direct investments, because investors, those who truly want to take advantage of this huge market, because of the free inflow and outflow right now at market rate of the foreign exchange, will be more willing to come in. And so states that have viable, that are viable to do business with, I see money coming into those states. That should improve, hopefully, in the medium term, certainly not in the short term.
Victor Hai, thank you so much indeed. Management experts, I'm afraid that we're going to have to leave it at that.
No, it's fine, not a problem.
Many thanks indeed for sharing your thoughts with us here on
Thank you
State of the Nation. And when we return, we'll be looking at the troubled Niger Delta. It comes into focus. We'll try to establish who is behind the Niger Delta Revengers. Stay with us.